why I usually work with my tripod. Hi guys, welcome to today's video, which is my gardening vlog, how to get your garden ready for winter. So I'm going to be like talking you through stuff, showing you stuff, and I know this might be a bit niche for YouTube and for my YouTube, maybe, no, I don't know. If you watch my vlogs, you know how much I love gardening, especially if you follow me on Instagram too. But I love gardening and I love my garden, I love flowers and plants and I love being outside. So yeah, it's my channel and I want to do stuff that I like. So we had to start off today by cutting things back, deadheading, and like cutting down anything that needs a good cut back, which if you aren't sure and you've just bought a new plant, Google is your best friend. You can literally just Google the name of the plant and does it need cutting back, and you'll be able to find all that information. We've got some planting to do. We just recently went and bought all of our bulbs, so around September to, a lot of them say September to December, but I never really plant later than mid-October. But you can go and get all your bulbs that will flower in spring, so stuff like tulips, daffodils, which we buy a lot of because that's our favourite. Tulips are Ben's favourite flower and it's our favourite sort of time in the garden really, is spring. Also, yes, don't throw any of your old clothes away, because this is where my old clothes come to die. They become decorating clothes or gardening clothes. Yeah, so potting, repotting some stuff as well, like stuff that's outgrown their pots that we're keeping in pots, but planting a lot of stuff in the ground, moving some stuff around. So if you don't know, we moved to this house last December, so we've not even been here a year yet, and we planted a lot of stuff in this bed right behind me specifically, very early on, and then all of this grew and it gave it too much shade, and it was peonies, which are my fave, and they need sun, so we're gonna have to move those first. Yeah, my biggest tip for doing all of this is to write a list of like the running order of what you need to do from first to last and importance, because you're not going to get it all done in a day. And so the very first thing we had to do was cut the grass and scrape up any leaves, which my husband did a couple of days ago, which you'll see clips running on the screen as I'm talking about it. Yeah, and today cut back some stuff, move the peonies, and then get potting and planting. Also, get yourself gloves, ladies and men, but get yourself gloves. I also just got my nails done, so I have to be very careful. But yeah, let's get the garden ready for winter. So I thought I'd run through with you the order that we are doing things in. So first step, cut the grass. We had let ours get really long because of the heat waves that were like back to back in the summer here. All the grass everywhere you went was like brown and yellow and dead. So we just left it literally through summer until now in October. So that it could get really long and luscious and green, plus it's great for wildlife to have your lawn be a bit long. And then that'll be the last time we've cut the grass. So we've cut the grass back and then raked up and collected any like fallen leaves, because you do get like big collections of leaves. Most of ours in our garden aren't even from our trees yet, they're from like surrounding trees, you know what I mean? So you do get a lot of leaves, so pick all those up. Go and buy any bulbs you need or want for the spring. You have to prepare now for that time. We got tulips, daffodils, irises, crocuses, some ranunculus actually. Yeah, just all your spring flowers really. And I plan, like before we go shopping, where I'm going to put them, because otherwise you can easily like overbuy and then be like, well, I haven't got any room for all this. So I was like, I want some there, and I want some in that pot, and I want some in there. So then I knew what we needed. Go and buy your bulbs. Next, you want to cut anything back, so, and deadhead. So like my roses, for instance, are still flowering. Roses are one of those plants that are amazing like that. They will, one of my roses last year flowered all year long, and it's not meant to, but I just kept its upkeep and it kept flowering, which was amazing. So you have to deadhead, and the way you deadhead, if you don't know at all, is that you cut back to the next like clear new growth, or the next like leaves, which I've filmed, so I'll show you that. In case you don't know like what I'm talking about, which is fine. Everyone starts somewhere, and like I know everything I know because of my mum and because of my nans. Like I helped my nans out with their gardening since I was like 5. I loved doing it, and my mum is an incredible gardener. She's amazing at it, and she's taught me everything. So yeah, but also Google is your friend, like I said, and YouTube, there's tutorials on exactly how to deadhead basically every plant, so obviously look it up per your plants. But yeah, and then cutting back, so anything you want to deadhead, anything that flowers, but cutting back any of your hedges, bushes that have got like overgrown. A couple of ours we've been trying to grow upwards, but we don't want to grow outwards any more than they already are, so we've been letting it grow, and now we're like cutting it into shape for how we want it. And stuff like lavender, so I'm going to cut back lavender, which you'll see in a minute. And actually, because of the way the weather's been so messed up, the lavender is still got some flowers on it way later than it normally would. So what I'm going to do with that is cut some off and dry it out and put it in little bags that you can have like in your wardrobes, in your drawers to keep stuff fresh, or just around the house because it smells lovely. Yeah, cut all that back. And like my wisteria, I did some cutting back. You're meant to cut them back in July and August, and then January, February, and I did do some cutting back in July, but then because of the weather it's been very confused, and it did reflower and stuff, so I'm going to do a little trim now, but not a major cutback until January and February. But we've got a huge rose arch, it's magnificent, it's like the joy of my life, and that needs a big cutback. And roses are really hardy, and they often like a big cutback. You'll often get more flowers the next year if you go pretty hard with them with cutting them back. Yeah, so deadhead and cut back. Then you want to move anything you need moving. So we need our peonies moving. Like I said, we moved in, we wanted to get stuff planted before it would flower, and so for peonies normally come quite early, so we planted them, and then the rose arch and the wisteria are above that bed, and it grew so much and just made it complete shade, so we actually only got one of our like 6 peonies flower, which was devastating for me because they're my fave. So I need to move all of them to the front of the bed or to different places where they're going to get more sun, because that's the other thing you need to learn about with each plant, and most of them come with like a card or a label on it that tell you like whether they like full sun or part sun or full shade. But again, it's something you can Google. Yeah, and then so move anything that needs moving. So dig it out of the ground, move it to where you think it will do best. But if you're already in a garden where you've got everything where you need it, you can skip that step. We've put 3 peonies in here. 1, 2, and this is the 3rd. Moved them from that other bed because this gets more sun. So I'm hoping they'll be happier here this year. And then we're going to plant stuff that needs to go in the ground. So we just, like I said, we moved a year ago, and so there's still stuff that hasn't been put in the ground from our last house, either because we haven't decided where it would be happiest, or we weren't sure whether we were going to keep it in a pot or put it in the ground, like my little pumpkin friends. At the front here we have put a load of stuff: a hydrangea, a peony, and another hydrangea. I really wanted to keep a load of my camellias in their pots because they're one of my absolute favourite things in the garden of all time. But where we are is just like literally countryside, and where we were before we were surrounded by like woodlands and also a lot more houses. It was a lot more built up than where we are now, so like I didn't realise how much that would affect our garden, but it has. So we get a lot of wind and a lot of more like frost and ice, and icy wind, which can damage your plants, and it got my camellias brutal last spring. It was devastating, but yeah, so a lot of them have gone in the ground, and there's one more out the front that definitely needs to go in the ground. It's not happy in its pot anymore. So, you know, again, when you've been gardening a while, you get used to like knowing if your plants are happy or not and knowing what they need. So yeah, put anything that's in pots that you want in the ground, and then repot things. So there's a few of our Acer trees, they've outgrown their pots and they need repotting for sure. And then we just got 2 new blossom trees with some amazing wedding gift cards that people gave us as a present, as a wedding gift. And one of them is actually called Wedding Bouquet. It's stunning. And the other one is a blossom tree I've looked for years, so I'm very happy. So they're going to be repotted because we're not sure where to put them yet. Repotting, we've lined up all the trees that need repotting here. apart from this one. This was a lovely wedding present from our friends, and it's 2 entwined cherry blossom trees, just stunning. Yeah, so we've lined these up and then sort of got our empty pots and soil ready, and then sort of gone, okay, that can go in that, and then that can go in that, and planned it that way. I think that's the best way to do it. Look at the colours of these acers, incredible. So yeah, time to repot. Always make sure your pots have holes in the bottom, and if they don't, drill them in like we have, and do put stones and stuff in the bottom for drainage. Like, we do that every time. We've never had a problem when we've repotted stuff, so that's really important. Make sure you use the right soil. Some stuff just we use like compost, and then the rest of the stuff is ericaceous soil, but make sure you get the right soil. And again, if you don't know, it's really easy. Just Google the name of the plant and what soil it needs, and you'll be told sort of what to use. But yeah, let's get repotting. Okay, so did a lot today. Replanted this hydrangea, repotted this rhododendron tree. Lovely. You don't normally ever cut back or repot or plant anything that's in flower at the time, and so there are actually 2 new huge plants we got from a nursery sale last spring for a real bargain. And I knew where I wanted them, but they're actually just budding and about to flower now, which I didn't realise, so we're not going to plant them until next spring when they are done flowering. Also, they're right by my kitchen window, and so I'm going to enjoy seeing them blossom through winter, because not much blossoms and flowers through winter. Yes, so then after you've done that, you want to get to planting any of your bulbs. So then we'll do bulbs, and the stuff you'll be seeing will be over the course of a week or more. Like, there's no way we could do this in a day or even 2. Yeah, so then do all the bulbs. We've got a curved hedge here, like as you first come up to the garden, and what we've done is dug out like a trough and filled it with rainbow tulips. So that's what's in there, and we've covered it with, it's actually genuinely Halloween netting that you can get from, like, we got it from the range 2 years in a row, and we've kept it ever since. And then we put rocks on top of it to stop the squirrels. So that's a top tip, because squirrels love new bulbs, so just protect them. Some of the places we haven't been able to, like in the other beds, we've run out of netting and we can't get to it to put it there, so it's whatever, but most of the time this is what we do. These are all rainbow hyacinths, so excited for them to come out. And here I've got like crocuses and irises, more tulips and daffs, and again you can see I've covered them. Those I haven't covered because they're from last year, but they're sprouting, so I've left them. And yeah, these are all replanted and potted, and oh, there's a lot that have lasted from last year that we don't normally get that, so we're going to have double by accident. But these dahlias need to be repotted tomorrow, and there's only a couple bags left to repot tomorrow, and then we're done. So yeah, and you really want to do like a big tidy up, so like rake up anything you've made a mess of. Do like your edging of your lawn and your beds. Sweep any of your patio or decking areas, and like clean off your covers for a final time. We actually had a huge pool that we put up over summer, so we've taken that down, cleaned it, dried it, packaged it away. There are some fairy lights that I might put away over winter so that I can keep them nice for next spring and summer. I often do leave a lot of them up all winter, but then they won't work the next year, so some of them I really love, so I'm going to take down. And then, like, yeah, just move anything around to where you really want it to be left over winter. And that matters with your plant positioning, so like your pots. I'll be moving some of them so they're more sheltered. That's another thing. A lot of plants over winter, need cover, or to be brought inside, or to be wrapped in like fleece or something. So check that out with each plant, like whether it needs it or not. I tend to try to not buy plants that need that, because it's just, with cats and like, it's just too much faffing for me. I like stuff that can stay outside all year round. That's your garden done for winter. Then you can basically leave it. I mean, like I said, the stuff that does flower, you'll go out and like deadhead sporadically, and like if you want to do extra sweeping when all the leaves really go, you can do that. But like, this is the main thing, and then it really doesn't take much to look after your garden over winter. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a like and do subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.